do is, first of all, we're going to be using a ruler, and I want to make sure you know how to use a ruler. First of all, there are 12 inches on a ruler. It starts at 0 going all the way across to 12. Every single number that you see here, 0 through 12, represents 1 inch. So we are going to be using the inch side of our ruler, and what I want you to do is I want you to put your ruler down. You're using a 9 by 12 sheet of paper. So you're going to line your 0 up with one side of your paper and your 9 up with the other side. And we are going to be creating squares, so a grid. And I'm going to have you map those out at every 1 inch. So you're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I'm just going to move down my paper, and I'm going to do that in the middle and then at the bottom. Same exact thing, lining my 0 up with the side and my 9 up with the other side, and then making little marks at each inch increment. And one more time so that I can get nice straight lines when I add those in. Then I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to line it up with the little tick marks. Make sure that you're lining all your first tick marks up. Holding my ruler nice and firmly. You want to spread your fingers out so that your ruler's not moving. And then I'm going to draw my line from the top of my paper to the bottom, hitting all those tick marks along the way so I make sure it's a nice straight line. And I'm using Sharpie, and you're more than welcome to use it, but if you mess up, you won't really have the opportunity to fix it, so make sure you're going really slow, or use a pencil first and then go over it with Sharpie if that's how you'd rather do it. So I'm just going to each one of these, drawing my line, and then I'm going to be turning my ruler to the other side of my paper and making tick marks all the way down my 12-inch side. So you're going to be making tick marks at 1 through 11, and then repeating this process again to come up with the grid that we're going to be using to create the Chuck Close style of artwork. So just lining my 0 up, my 12 up, make sure your ruler's nice and straight, and putting your tick marks again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way down to 11. 12 actually hits at the bottom of the page, so you don't need one there. And for this one, I'm just going to come to the other side of the paper and do the same thing. Now, if you do make a mistake, you probably will have the opportunity to hide it in your artwork, but just really try to keep your lines nice and straight so that you don't have to try to hide stuff. I'm lining my ruler up with my tick marks and again drawing the line. Once you get this process done, we're going to be starting to prepare our photographs that we have to transfer them onto our grid, and using contour lines to really emphasize the important parts of our image to create our drawing. And remember, emphasize means what draws your attention. So you're going to want to choose the features that draw your attention most in your photograph. You don't want to include every single tiny detail. So once you have your grid, you're going to have 1-inch boxes, and then now we're going to be moving on to getting your photograph ready. So that will be step 2. this is the photograph I'm going to be using to create my image onto my Chuck Close grid. And we're simply going to be figuring out what features we want to really transfer over. So you can take a Sharpie and pick out the features that you want first, or you can just do it directly onto your grid drawing. So I'm just going to go ahead with a Sharpie and I'm going to map out what I think I'm going to want to do by using a contour line to draw the lines that I'm going to want to put into my artwork. And the reason I'm using a Sharpie is it should bleed through to the other side. I'm going to extend the lines up because this paper is smaller than my other one. It should bleed through to the other side, so it's really going to show you what contour lines you're going to be putting onto your grid paper. So remember, you're just putting only the important features right now. You don't want to go crazy adding too much detail to this one, but you don't want to lose things like eyebrows or eyes. So once you get your important lines, your contour lines down, you should be able to turn over your paper and really see if you're missing anything. I'm even going to put in the little reflection because I want to bring that over. And I'm going to put in some of the eyelashes here too so I don't lose those. And really focus on the shape, guys. You don't want to lose the shape of the eyes. It's going to make it look like whoever the person is. In this case, this is my son. You can't really see these lines, but I'm just going to put them. And his mouth is kind of narrow here because he's making a funny little face. And I'm going to make sure to trace around all the collar and all the details of the shirt. Well, not all the tiny details, just the outline, the contour line. All right, I think I have everything. I need to turn it over and just make sure that nothing feels like it's missing. So I'm going to turn this over and you should be able to see the outline that you're going to end up with. I can tell that I'm missing part of the pumpkin here, so I'm just going to go ahead and put that back in right here. And then I feel like I pretty much have everything that I need to transfer this drawing. Alright, once I have my contour line that I created on this side, and I can see it on this side, what I want you to do is I want you to get a B pencil. I'm going to use one of those 4B graphite pencils, and I am going to color right across the photograph side of my image, just like this. Just going over, putting down a nice layer of graphite over my entire image where you drew. You don't need to go where you're on your photograph where you didn't draw. Like, I don't need to go where the background is. I'm just trying to put some graphite down over all those lines I just drew, all my contour lines. And we're going to be transferring this image onto that grid that we created before. So putting down a nice layer of graphite anywhere you had Sharpie. You need to get graphite on top of all those Sharpie lines because that's what's going to transfer your image. Once you have your graphite down, you're going to take your grid sheet that you made. I'm going to place my image photograph side down. You do not want this to move once you have it placed where you want it. I'm actually going to move it up a little and kind of center it on my sheet. Your paper is bigger than this one, so once you have it down, you can grab a small piece of tape if you want to make sure it's not going to move. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use a regular pencil or your graphite pencil, and you're going to draw over all those contour lines again. Once you have gone over everything with your pencil, you should be able to lift your paper and see the outline on your grid. It's very light, but now is your opportunity to go ahead and trace over that, leaving you with this gridded image, and then I will show you the next step. I want you to Sharpie this in, and then we'll be able to start using our organic and geometric shapes. Now that I have my contour line image onto my grid, we're going to start to use the grid to create a Chuck Close inspired artwork, and we're going to go in with Sharpie, and you're going to add organic or geometric shapes into your artwork. I would like you to choose either geometric or organic for the image, and then the opposite for the background. Just so that we can see that you understand the difference of geometric and organic shapes. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do geometric all in the actual image, and then I'm going to work with organic in the background. So here we go. I'll show you one and then I'll fast forward it so it's not going quite so slow. So I'm going to come in and I'm doing geometric shapes. And they don't all have to be crazy detailed, but you want to do some kind of interesting design in each one. And then I'll continue on adding geometric shapes throughout the entire image. One thing that is important to mention is that when you're hitting objects, like for example the eyebrows, I'm going to go ahead and put some hairs in here to make them obviously eyebrows, but you're not going to draw through the facial features. You're going to kind of draw around the facial features. You want to stay within the grid, so if I'm in a square and I hit the edge, I stop there. I don't go any further. I don't go through it and out into another one. If I hit something like an eye, I'm going to go and let the eye overlap it. It's going to go behind it, not through it. So wherever I go, I need to still make sure that my facial features are going to stand out and that I'm not going to lose them by adding in the design. So I'll show you again what I mean by that. And I'm going to go, I need to finish up this one here. And I don't want to make my facial features hide, but this one was just a small line of the nose. But if I'm going over here like by the eye and I'm going to do something like a triangle, the triangle can go in the box, and if it hits the edges you need to stop, or if it hits the eye you need to stop and jump over it as if the eye is in front of the design. We're not going to go through the eye because we don't want to lose our facial features. So here we go. I'm going to bring this triangle up a little bit. And you can see I stopped at the edge of my grid there. And I'm going to bring it through. But the triangle part is hidden behind there. So I'm not going to mess with the eye itself. I want to leave that just on its own. I have finished my geometric shapes in the subject of the artwork, and now I'm going to be working on organic shapes for the exterior area, or the negative space out here. So this is my positive space with all my geometric shapes, and then I'm going to do organic out here. You don't